Welcome to Timber&Terra. I'm Glenn, and we are loaded up, ready to head up to the woodlot, which is a couple miles south along this dirt road here. So I just used my tractor as a heavy hitch on it. I do have electric hookups, so I have brakes. I did test them. But the tractor doesn't have a controller, OEM, so I added one. That's rain protection. I think I have to replace that. But you can see the green light there. So the brakes work, which is good because this is a lot heavier than the tractor. So this is the first time I'm actually going to try to take trailer and excavator together through the woods. Normally I'll stop just before the woods, unload it, and then track the excavator in. So you'll see that when we go up, what I mean by that. Wish me luck. So this road I cleared last winter as far as taking down the trees, established where it was going to go, and there's sort of two methods that I've used to make roads. This is one of them, which is cut down the trees along the road that I want in the wintertime, and then go back sometime in the next summer and dig out the stumps, remove the big rocks, and then level it out with the blade of the excavator as best I can. So with these roots, you'll see me take a lot of time to try to remove all the dirt that I can. The name of the game here is a sort of soil preservation, because I don't have a lot to work with, and I can't afford to sort of toss aside any dirt any more than I need to that are in the roots. So I'll take what I can. Also, when I see, say, an old say a mound of dirt, which is likely from an uprooted tree from, who knows, 50, 100 years ago, I'll steal that dirt oftentimes to help level out the road, you know, fill in a divot, things like that.
You may wonder why I don't just keep the corduroy here. The corduroy road I put in not really because it was wet to try to float myself above it, but it was just because of the terrain. It was so uneven. I just needed something to boost my tires up so I didn't get cockeyed and spin or hit bottom, something like that. This rock being rather problematic. Lots of scrape marks from my chains driving over it. Some of those rocks handy. Maybe this one might go in there. Try. Oh, wow. Problem solved. Yeah, so it looks pretty rough there still, but so now probably at a good point where I can just track the excavator back and forth, sort of pack this down, smooth out what I can to make it as passable as I can. Well, it's the process. I'll still track over that a bit. The sun glare, I think, is also causing an issue. When I can see better, I can set myself over to track in more of the middle. But that's always the difficult part, particularly in narrow, confined spaces. I really can't shift over, so that the middle of it really never gets to track in. All I can use is the blade. All right, well, we go up here, uphill here quite a bit, so not a whole lot. It's relatively smooth. It's mostly just small stumps, so I'll take these out and then we'll meet up again after some progress is made. So a little bit of progress, but I'm at a point here where I'm doing something which I think I talked about but didn't really show, didn't have the opportunity. But so right in front of the excavator, in fact I started doing it already, it's quite a slant from left high to right low. So what I'm able to do is, like you can see here, I had a little bit of opportunity to scoop some dirt up and move it to the right. So for the next little bit, there's a little bit of a slope left to right, so I'll do my best to dig in areas like this and just sort of cast it off to the right as I'm looking at it. But I'll set you up so it's right to left for you guys. Another rock that saw a lot of change this past winter. Yeah, it's funny because from where I'm sitting here now, the slope of the road looks a lot more significant than it is from up where you're sitting. Alright, so the camera's sort of level, so you can see hopefully a bit better the slope. So it's starting to level off there as we sort of crest this part of the little knoll. So I'm just going to continue on here for a bit more, and then when I film again, we'll film sort of spreading this stuff out as I head back towards the landing. So here we are. Around the corner there to the left is sort of the straightaway to the landing. Lots of rocks. It's funny because it turns out most of this has been dry. Sort of at the beginning was more damp material, but this is powdery dry. That little red thing is a helium balloon, probably from someone's birthday party. So I was gonna come down here and sort of grade all this out and pack it in as best I can, but I have a small hydraulic leak. So the fittings on this particular excavator are O-ring face seal. And generally I've had good luck with them, but for some reason, this one's been problematic. This is a brand new fitting, because I thought, because this I think it looked bent before. You can see here it's bent here, but it's been like that for as long as I can remember, coming out of this little manifold, this block. But the O-ring probably didn't seat in there quite right, and it was cut when it was sealed. And it doesn't leak at the beginning, but I've probably put maybe 10 hours on it since I put this a new O-ring in here and this new fitting, and it just started leaking. So it's probably as simple as replacing the O-ring, doing my best to make sure it stays in the groove when I put it together and doesn't slide off to the side and cut, which is what I think happens most of the time I have a leak. That's the issue. Well, so that'll have to wait till another day. So for you it'll be moments, for me it'll be probably 12 hours or more. Come back, fix that, hopefully, and then make this look a little bit prettier. Well, back here, I did replace the O-ring to fix my hydraulic leak. That's what the old one looked like. I don't know how it comes out like that, because I put it in, obviously it was new. This is like a month or two ago, and it didn't leak until just now. And this is what it looks like when it comes out. So I don't know, maybe it's if the diameter of the O-ring is too small and it sort of slowly squishes out of that and then, you know, sort of cuts itself and leaks. I'm not sure. Did clean the windshields. No guarantee that I won't run into any trees, but maybe a little less likely. As I was coming up and down here, I was thinking, because there's the road sort of takes a little bit of a left and then a little bit of a right and then a left again. Like I said, why didn't I go here? So I think this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go here instead, because the only thing in the way to sort of make this road come straight from where we are and then just a gentle curve to the left and avoid an extra little jog over there is this dead fir tree. This small, well, all hornbeams are small, eastern hop hornbeam, another eastern hop hornbeam, and then a bunch of junk. Maybe when I came up here in the wintertime, I said, oh, I don't want to mess with this junk, so I'm just going to come straight. This will be perfect. And then just a slight left, I'll avoid that, which I think is hard maple right there. But yeah, plenty of room there. And then if for some reason I need to steal a bit of dirt, I can just come up here maybe and push some down. But I think that's one of the big rocks that I struggled getting out of the hole for no good reason now. And this is another tree I took down right here. And that was, I guess, would have been another interference, but it's not anymore. And I did bring my chainsaw. I'm equipped with my safety chainsaw pants, so I'm good to cut whatever I cut down into firewood. So I'll just cut these into 16-foot lengths. Further down the road, there's some firewood that I was not able to grab early this spring when I was cutting. So I'll do the same here, just set it off to the side of the road. That one and the two hornbeams. And then when I come up here with my trailer, I'll pick them up and bring them home. So we're just about at the beginning of the road, but I'd like to fill in that around the rock. I don't have any material there. So I'm going to turn around because I have a little bit of extra material right here that I should be able to push there to flatten it out a bit. Well, that's the beginning of our road. You can see the big difference. It's nice and moist there. You know, you can track over it with the excavator and it sort of packs down, well, as nicely as you can expect topsoil to pack down. But then you just get up here, look at that. So dusty. It doesn't pack at all, and this fluffy, dusty stuff, as soon as the rains do come here in the fall, this is just going to be a muddy, soupy mess. Which is fine, because I don't plan to just try to access this road in the fall before it freezes up. But I think it's turned out as good as could be expected. Again, just working with the material I have available. So this is that alteration to the road that I did to the left. For whatever reason, the original road I had cut to the right. So this is basically just one gentle curve instead of two, which is always good, either when you're hauling a trailer or hauling a twitch. You want to be as straight as you can. Interesting how this maple has started to grow around. Probably at some point that might have been a cut stump, and there was a seedling that sort of grew up next to it and is encompassing it. Or it could have been a branch that died and fell off. This gives some indication that there was something else perhaps growing there. So that's basically where we started or ended. I have some of these trees to take care of. That one, and then the one I kept pushing off there to the left. A lot better than it was even half hour ago. Just being able to blade all the soil that I moved. It'd be even a little bit better if this was a bit moister soil, but it is powdery dry. So I have another instance up here where I don't know what I was thinking when I cut this in the wintertime. Other than, I guess, at the time, I don't have the benefit of hindsight. Meaning, I think I know where the road is going, but I don't know for sure until I actually cut it. And then you look back and say, why did I do that? So in this instance here, this is the road. Boy, if you happen to watch some of the videos of me cutting this in last winter, I remember this dip well. You can see here where the blade on the winch scraped that. I don't know, I had a hard time here. It doesn't look bad now, but it was quite the episode. So the dead poplar, I remember, I kept uncovered in the buried snow that I had to cut up and push aside. I remember that dead stump. Anyhow, so I'll turn 180. The road goes right there. And what's in the way? Why did I go that way and then go that way? And I'll take down this, which I think is a striped maple or striped maple, which is really just sort of a overgrown bush, junk tree. It amounts to absolutely nothing. All right, so before I get the chainsaw out, I might as well take this maple down. So I'll push this over, and then I'll cut it into 16-foot lengths. You can see some of my handiwork from last winter there. And we'll continue on down here. I think the going should be much easier. I think it's relatively flat. All I have here, in fact, all of these are those striped maple. All these sprouts. And that's what those are. They're all striped maple. But I'll take these roots out, so hopefully they won't grow back again. And there's really just little bits of divots here and there, probably a rock or two, but the soil, the conditions change significantly once we get up sort of at the crest of this hill. The beginning of this crest begins where the excavator is, and just sort of it gradually goes down. Eventually it'll meet sort of a wetland area towards the back of my property. All right, so I'll take care of this, and then we'll be back when that's done and some chainsaw work is done. Well, here we are. Took care of the firewood. This is a tree I didn't talk about taking down. It was like right here, I think. Anyhow, it's just made the road a bit narrow, and it was not the best tree anyhow. It was a white ash. This is that big dip, so I cut that off, filled it in. Interrupted the roots here of this particular ash tree, but we'll see if that survives. And then I ran into a stretch of, where was that maple? It was right here. So that was 3 firewood logs, 48 feet worth, 3/16. And then after this, it was a pretty good stretch down to the excavator. It was really just blading it off. And there are several of these striped maple roots that, real small, came out easy. So good progress. Really only been up here maybe 2 or 3 hours. I told my wife I was going to be up here a couple hours, so I'll be done for the day, go back, spend some time with her, and do some other projects at the house. So we'll continue on. Well, basically where the four-wheeler is where we left off yesterday. So relatively easy going as far as the land itself goes, but the stumps get bigger, the trees get bigger. So there's several trees here that are sizable. So you can watch me struggle with those for a bit. Well, it is evident that that big rock is not going to come out easily. I did sense a little bit of movement, but I think it would be a significant struggle. And if I did that, then I'd have a big hole to fill. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a woods road. It has to be passable, particularly in the wintertime, without getting myself hung up or anything like that. Topsoil, sticks, it's all good. It's all going in the hole. Little and it comes out. So if this roots grow underneath that rock, that's not going to be helpful. There's basically one side of the root that I really can't chip away at the root structure because the rock's in the way. just removed one more stump, but I think before I move to the next few there in front of the camera, I need to fill in this hole. Sort of digging out a little bit of a swale. One, to make sure I have a little bit of drainage. The more I dig down the road to get fill, the more the road is going to become a riverbed, rain. And this also gives me a little more material to make the road higher. So this is taking advantage of this little bit of open area that I have, which is not always the case. So that rock is going to have to be exposed a little bit. I'm just not going to be able to cover it completely. But that's fine. I'll hear it as I go across. Right there. Well, I guess you didn't hear it, because I didn't hear it much. I can feel it. Track vehicles do not blend well with hard rocks. This will soften that ditch a little bit to not make it quite so abrupt. I think I mentioned there are two other tree roots that I took out right there where I dumped that last little bit. All this loose root debris and stuff will all compact over time. So if I can, I'll leave it a little bit proud, a little bit high, so that when it does settle down, rot, press, it's not a huge divot. Looks pretty good. Well, at least by Woods Road standards, it looks pretty good. Not that I'd want to take a car across. So you can hopefully make out that little bit of a swale right where we're standing here. May can sort of try to continue this a little bit down the road as we go. That looks like not the healthiest ash tree up there. This is the time of year where you can sort of tell the stressed trees because their leaves are turning color a little bit earlier. This is the first week of September. Peak foliage for us around here is about October 1st, last week of September, first week of October, something like that. But the ash generally I think does turn a little bit early. You can see the tips of that one up there turning. But then just a couple small ones, and then what we come to here is a crossroad. So this land was logged, I don't know, 50 years ago maybe. And you can tell from Google Maps, all the roads like this one go north-south. But the way the property has been divided since, my property is a rectangle which sort of goes east and west. So it made more sense where the landing is for me to access this property going east-west. So oftentimes I sort of bisect the road at 90 degrees, original sort of skid road. I'll use these at some point to connect these parallel roads that I'm making. Not right off. I have used one or two of them because they're pretty decent. So there's some firewood logs that I left when I cleared down there last winter. So I'll finish clearing this, sort of meet up with this road here, left and right, as best I can, and we'll meet up when we're down here to the road. Quite a dip here going into this crossroad. Hopefully you can see from that angle. Quite a big rock here. Doesn't seem to move very much with the blade. Oh, yes, not bad. Right there. That's fine. Flat side up, flat side down. Any other goodies in here? any good spots for a rock quite this big unless I don't want to put a rock someplace where it's going to stick up. Firewood logs just a little bit further off the road. Fine. Well, I think this is about the stopping point, and I told my wife that I would spend up here. So it's downhill, basically a long winding road downhill towards what eventually becomes sort of a swampland. But this road and the one here to the south or to our right will connect before it gets to the swampland. So we didn't make a lot of progress distance-wise. But there were some big stumps. I don't think I have other stumps quite that size, at least the stuff that I've cut so far. Although that beech tree looks rather large. But so I think it looks good. Made this crossing. There's a skid road there. It's a little bit more obvious this way. So yeah, we made it over that big rock. Here's another rock here. I don't know how big that is, but probably glad to go over it instead of try to take it out. Oh, really powdery, really powdery. Yes, big hump here is that big rock. I mean, if I wanted to spend a bunch of time, I might have been able to take it out. I might have been able to come on this side of it and sort of dig underneath it and sort of push it down, but you just have to ask yourself, how much time is worth it for what gain. All right, I'm guessing between the, 2-3 days, partial days, not full days by any means, that we've been up here, this is probably a full video. So I'll probably continue on a little bit, sort of doing the same thing we've been doing. At some point, I'll come to a point where I stopped cutting last winter, and I may just continue on clearing the road, uprooting trees rather than cutting them off and just taking the roots out. I've done it both ways. To me, it's half a dozen of one, 6 of another. Same goal, same amount of fun. It seems to be about the same amount of work. So okay, I'm glad you hung along with me on this video. I appreciate that, and I hope you stay tuned for future ones.